If you live on or around the Iron Range, chances are you've heard this question a fair few times. Why are people leaving? And how do we get them to stay? It's a good question. And for the first time in American history, we see small town communities dying, their populations declining faster than we can make them up. Our instinct is to blame jobs. No one can get one, and so they're leaving. The reality, though, is much different. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, post-COVID, we're back up to 97% of our pre-Great Recession employment rates. And the cost of living in small towns is cheaper than almost any major city. So, back to square one. Why are people leaving? And how do we get them to stay? Well, let's start with the why. I believe that it is because there is, quite honestly, nothing to do. We have some community-wide events, but not all of them get enough publication, and very few sports events large enough to pull a crowd. And I know, it sounds like the moanings of a bored high schooler, but think about it. You grew up on the Iron Range. You go, you get your degree, and you come back for, say, a teaching job. You find yourself leaving most weekends in search of something to do. You get married, you have kids, and it's the same story. You find yourself traveling the 1 to 4 hours to Duluth or the Twin Cities just to find a little bit of stimulation for your 4-year-old. Eventually, a job opens up in Duluth. And why shouldn't you take it? You're traveling there almost every weekend anyway. And suddenly, you're just another person who's moved away from their small town. Now, I recognize that this problem is a collection of a lot of little problems, but I believe that I know the first way that we can take the step towards solving it: funding our local arts organizations. There are so many ways that the arts support small town communities like ours. For one, they encourage that community. People of all ages, genders, ethnicities, and interests can come together under the banner of the arts. Whether that connection be physical or emotional, when people gather in performing arts centers or art galleries, they connect with their community members in a way that maybe they never have before. Another thing to consider: when you give to your community, it will give back to you. When people go out and engage with their local arts organizations, they support their own economy. Yes, by engaging with the arts, but also by eating at the local restaurant before they go to see that performance, or walking the Main Street small businesses after they tour the art gallery. And this support isn't just economic. It also comes from the vested interest that people take the more they get out into their community. They see the problems, and they want to solve them. The arts also encourage future growth. Children can start in the arts at a much younger age than almost any other activity. And when families have a safe and healthy environment to keep their children in, they're less likely to travel far away from home. Now, this type of growth is good for the children too. Children who are involved in the arts from a young age are statistically proven to have a more developed sense of creativity, problem solving, and traits like patience and empathy. These skills last you a lifetime. Take it from me. I've been singing my entire life. I've been in theater since I was 5. I've been playing the viola since the 5th grade, and I've been captain of my speech team for the last 3 years. It's these skills that I learned from the arts that are the only reason I can be up in front of you giving this speech today. Finally, the arts simply give people something to do on the weekends. Instead of spending their time, energy, and money away from home, they stay close to here. And their children, those younger generations who will make or break small town communities like ours, learn this community engagement, and they carry it with them for the rest of their lives. Now, I've talked a lot about why the arts are worth supporting, but how exactly do you do that? Now, there's certainly something to be said about public funding. In our own Minnesota Constitution, there's a section called the Legacy Amendment, which allocates a certain amount of state dollars every year for the arts. But there are so many ways that you, sitting here listening to me talk, can help. The easiest, and I believe the most enjoyable way, is to simply go out and enjoy. There are so many arts organizations within your own community waiting for you. Places like the Lyric Center, the Choral Airs, the Mesabi Symphony Orchestra. Places like the Arrowhead Arts Association and the Northern Lights Music Festival are dedicated specifically to bringing you arts events throughout the year for you to enjoy. So enjoy them. When you find something that you like, you may want to support it in other ways. Arts organizations are always looking for monetary donations, and Minnesota even encourages this with their Give to the Max month right around the Christmas season. But there are a lot of ways other than monetarily that you can support the arts. An amazing way is to volunteer your time. Arts organizations like these are always looking for people, both to run their events and just simply to keep their doors open. You can also simply, your word of mouth publication can go miles for these kinds of organizations. You're here and you can help. So I have a challenge for you. After I'm done here today, you're going to hear 7 more amazing talks. It's going to be a very full evening for you and me both. But after you're done and you've gone home and you've relaxed, I challenge you to take a minute and look for just one arts organization in your community that interests you. And once you find it, I challenge you to go. Get out, get dressed, enjoy the moment. I promise you won't regret it. Small town communities like ours have a tendency to overlook the arts, a really core part of our communities. But I believe that by supporting and funding these kinds of organizations, we take the first step towards answering that big question. And then we get to move on to the fun stuff. Instead of why are people leaving and how do we get them to stay, the question becomes, how do we make our community the absolute best it can be? And isn't that question much more exciting? Thank you.